Well, the preacher caught me one morning on the way out of church. He said, "Hey, Robert, I hate to do this to you, but is there any way I could ask a favor of you?" I said, "Well, sure, preacher, what is it?" He said, "Well, I'm running for the chairman of the Ministerial Alliance here in town. Christian church pastor's running against me." He said, "We've kind of got us a little gentleman's bet going on. The loser has to buy the other a steak dinner." He said, "See, there's 9 votes total, and he's got 4 of them locked down, and I got the other 4. There's only 1 vote left, and, well, there's Dr. Ventnor down at the Lighthouse Tabernacle. He's kind of a strange feller. But I was talking to him the other day, and he said he'd sure like to go duck hunting. So, I said, I hear what you're saying, preacher." I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll give him a phone call. Me and old Lem will take him duck hunting. We'll get him a couple of ducks. We'll get you that vote, and we'll get you that steak dinner." He said, "Boy, I sure appreciate it, Robert." He said, "Now, there's something you got to understand." He said, Dr. Ventnor, he don't hear real well, so you have to kind of speak up." I said, "All right, I can handle that." He said, "Now, the other thing is, well, if you get hurt, he's going to want to lay hands on you and pray." I said, "Well, I don't have a problem with that at all." He said, "No, I'm talking about," well, he said, "the Methodist minister got a paper cut at our last meeting." He said, "Robert, we was there 3 hours with Dr. Ventnor laying hands on him, trying to pray the devil out of that cut." I said, "Well, we'll be extra careful then." Well, me and old Lem picked up Dr. Ventnor a few days later, took him out to the duck blind. It was still pretty dark. Old Lem said, "Robert, that coffee's gone to work on my stomach. I'm going to have to go back here behind the blind and take care of a little personal business." I said, "All right, just hurry back. You don't want to miss none of the fun." He got back there in the dark. A few minutes later, I heard old Lem start hollering out. Well, he laid down a track of cuss words that'd get a sailor kicked out of the Navy. Dr. Ventnor said, "Is that Lem back there? I thought I heard something." I said, "Yeah, he's hollering out." I said, I reckon maybe that snake that lives in that hollow log back there must have scared him." He said, "Oh, okay." Before long, here come old Lem hobbling back to the blind. I said, "Lem, what in the world happened back there?" He said, "Well, Robert, I guess I overestimated how much clearance I had between my body and my zipper." I said, "Lem, are you all right, son?" He said, "No, I'm hurting pretty bad, Robert." He said, "I'm bleeding. I think I'm going to have to go to the emergency room." I said, "Well, is there any way you can hang on for just a little while and let Dr. Ventnor get a couple of ducks?" He said, "Yeah, I'm just going to sit down here and not shoot, and I'll hang on as long as I can." I said, "Okay, I sure appreciate it." Well, it turned daylight, and a couple of wood ducks come in there and lit. Me and Dr. Ventnor shot them, and so I climbed out of the blind, went out to pick them up, and when I did, Dr. Ventnor said, "Well, Lem, Robert said he thought your snake popped out on you back there." Lem said, "Well, I guess you could say that." Dr. Ventnor said, "Well, did you get bit, son?" Old Lem said, "Well, yeah, I guess you could say that too." Dr. Ventnor said, Well, Lem, son, are you hurting?" Lem said, "Dr. Ventnor, I'm hurting bad." He said, "I'm hurting worse than you can imagine right now." And Dr. Ventnor said, "Well, Lem, why don't you let me help you with it?" Well, now here's the problem. See, I forgot to tell Lem that Dr. Ventnor wasn't a real doctor. So Lem was assuming that Dr. Ventnor was going to treat him medically, not spiritually. I don't know exactly what all went on next, but as I came back out of the water, Dr. Ventnor was stomping up the trail behind the blind, mumbling something, and old Lem was pulling his britches back up. I said, "Come on, Lem, let's go." So we loaded up our stuff. Well, it was a pretty quiet ride all the way back to town in the cab of that pickup truck with the 3 of us squeezed in there together. I dropped Lem off at the urgent care facility and dropped Dr. Ventnor off at his house. Well, Dr. Ventnor never did call me back to go duck hunting again. Preacher didn't get his vote. Lem got him 4 stitches and a handful of pain medication. Well, I felt so bad about the whole thing that I took Lem and the preacher and the Christian church pastor all out for a steak dinner. I kind of figured they'd all earned it.